of the Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm glad it's Wednesday. Well, always glad if it's a Tuesday or a Thursday, any and every day, if we can be a part of it, make it count in a positive way. I want to share some things with us as we start. It's going to be open line, and normally sometimes on Wednesdays we have the opportunity to welcome, the different government entities, sometimes even the politicians. But today, unless my calendar is wrong, and I double checked it a couple of times, looked at it, always to Monday, and it says there are no guests. So guess what? It's open line. Boy, are we going to have fun, because you are the reason we have a talk show. It is for you, with you, and because of you, and we're going to engage in some discussions. I got a couple of interesting messages that were sent. I had a wonderful conversations with some people. I will try, as respectfully as they've asked, to share it. I wish sometimes I could say it exactly as they said it, even in their most impassioned plea with the best of expletives being deleted, still wouldn't come across in the way they have. So let's see what we can do together. How about that? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow, Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. Here, 949-8037, 949-6990. Toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Sometimes, you look at things and you want to make sure that you look at it accurately. That what you saw or think you saw is exactly what it is. And you better pay attention, because time will pass you by. But let's see what happens. All right, so it's open line. We want to say thank you to all who listen, whether you like some of us that just love a radio, whether it's in your car, whether it's, you're having a little siesta under the coconut tree, swinging in your hammock, and you got that device on. Thank you. For those who tune in on social media, whether it's the YouTube or the Facebook, hey, thank you. And for those of you who have downloaded a Radio Cayman app, thank you. Tell your friends. It is a remarkable tool, not just because it's embracing technology, but it allows you to access something that maybe we get to appreciate how connected we are. And I joke and jest sometimes, and it's not that one of those people who don't like technology or has embraced it as much as I have. But I'm cognizant, like money, technology is a great servant, a great tool, but it should never become our master. I'll give you a simple example. Remember not long ago, something happened and there was no ability to electronically access things. How many of us knew where to find a pen and paper or a pencil and could actually function. Not just add up something. I'll share with you, hopefully, and be forgiven if I'm talking out of school. This was a very, very long time ago. Not just because I had hair then and I was young and all those things. And we were somewhere in North America, let's just put it that way. And it was just a torrential downpour. I mean, almost frightening. Those of us who were there had the recent passage of hurricanes. This was long before Ivan. We actually had hurricanes before then, and even, since the 32 hurricane. So it was before Ivan, after 32, if you want to do the math. And the clouds were as dark as midnight, but for the constant lightning, the illuminating the skies, it was pitch black. And the rain came down so hard that it sounded like, bullets against the zinc wall. And suffice it to say that, one lightning strike, seemingly, just outside the door, took out the whole grid, as the news reported later. But it was pitch black, up and down, as far as the eye could see. The space had some sort of backup thing. Perhaps that was the law and part of their need to get what we would call planning permission in the CO. But they could not function. They could not collect money because the cash register probably had icons where the cashier was only taught, press this button for a picture of a burger, this one to add lettuce, or this one to take off tomato, just as an example. So it was all interfaced by images, and that's how it was. Very simple. And let's say that the item came to $98, and you give the person $100, they should give you back $2. That transaction couldn't take place for nobody. Didn't know how to function. Something as simple as that, and that was a very long time ago. Have we gotten even more dependent on technology? Has it, in making our lives easier, as an educator shared with me earlier, made us less intelligent? Now, I would probably be mindful, to say that as connected as we are, right, have we become more disconnected? A fellow that I thought was just incredibly wise. As much as he was jovial, he was very insightful. And probably sometimes, whether you spell it with the S or the C. George Carlin. I enjoyed listening to him. I did, as much as I do now, struggle, because a lot of what he would share is expletive laden, and I find it hard. I don't know what it is. Not because I don't know Carson or haven't heard it or even have done it myself sometimes more than I wish, but I struggle to listen. But he always talked about, how we get to a space where we have more house but less home. We have more of this but less of that. And if you listen how he put it together, very philosophical, but very on point. Are we there yet? Is that what we've become? And as much as we are told, and probably accept and acknowledge and realize that we're more alike than we are different, have we allowed those differences to come to the fore and divide us? It's not about being naive. It's not even an attempt to be noble. It's a recognition of what obtains. I'm going to read for us something that was shared. I put some of the things together so that it'll read easier for my benefit, but I'll do that after the break. And I want to talk about a couple of things. If anybody says, oh boy, he running for election. You know what? I got to run for election. Should we run for Owen Ellen or for the Black Bluff Miss Susan? It's not about that, okay? But even if it was, is it to offer up help? And is it to invite all of us to come together? Is it because we are so insecure that we're unable to hear a dissenting view? You ever, whether because of study, and if you forgive me, just for fun, for your own edification, read law judgments or had them read to you? And did you only pay attention to the majority opinion, the decision that was taken, or did you listen closely to the dissenting view? I I'm of the view, and those of you who are law students or practitioners of the law, guide me in this. But I always thought that the commentary from Lord Deming, whether it was a dissenting view or whether he gave the majority decision, always insightful, always instructive. So sometimes that dissenting view is important. We'll talk about that, but we'll also put some things on the table and we want you to be a part of our discussion. It's Wednesday. Today is the 2nd of August already. So if that is the situation, then that means that July and all the months that come before are gone. And we're not promised this afternoon, much less tomorrow, nor Christmas. And I don't say that lightly, because a lot of us are hurting. And my heart, my prayers are not just with you, but with the knowledge and expectation that it's coming again. So let's be together. And you know what? Let me say that comment after, because I still want to be able to enjoy the next 2 hours. And then if I don't have the job after that, well, at least I've had the 2 hours, right? Join me after the break. If you have the courage, if you see the calling upon you, and you are acknowledging that it is incumbent to stand in the gap, this is time to rise and shine. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money Transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Honey, did you get your Benzorama ticket yet?
Benzorama what?
The Lions Club Benzorama fundraiser. You could win a brand new Mercedes-Benz.
What? I have always wanted a Mercedes. What kind of Benz?
A brand new sparkling 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. And you're helping to support the many Lions Club of Grand Cayman causes.
Driving in my new Benz and feeling good about helping the community.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. Your chance to win a 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available from Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. As I don my headset and get ready, to listen to you, I want to invite your feedback, your perspective. Doesn't mean that you agree with anything that is said. It doesn't mean that you agree with any of it at all. But if we are in a democracy, should it not be that we have the freedom, the right, the obligation to share our opinions, if we could do so respectfully, consistently, if we can do so from a considered perspective, even better. But sometimes you're just thinking out loud. Let me see if I can use today's language to create what I say a safe space for you to call and share. Now, I say that not lightly because you may call and someone may hear, and, oh, that's John. No, they're not John. John, this guy has never called before, but you sound like John. You think it's John, so John gets either the credit or, but more likely, malign. You heard what John said? We do that. Let's not do that. Doesn't mean we won't. But you may not call because you say, you know what, people gonna know my voice, boy, and they can hold it against me, and they will. That's just how it is. But it doesn't have to be. But it doesn't have to be all the time. But if you don't say that thing, someone else may not be encouraged and inspired and feel that, you know what, I agree with that person. Let me call and support. And that's the issue. We become afraid of our shadows. We become cowards and we run and hide. And sometimes, unfortunately, we stick our heads in the sand, but we don't realize that the six is exposed. Yeah, we'll have good fun playing with your child peekaboo. And very early on, the child thinks that you disappear when you put your hands over your eyes. You're still there, Well, some of us are no longer children, but we have that mentality. Please understand I'm not trying to insult you. And please understand that I don't have all the answers, nor think that, this is going to solve it. But I do know that it takes, two hands to clap. I always say, though, it only takes one to beat yourself on the chest. So it's not hubris that we're looking for, it's humility. All right, let me read these for you. If you're so inclined, I know it's summer and many of us have other things to do. Some of us have that plan to travel. Some of us are lamenting that we wish we could travel, but we can't because of work and money and whichever. So we're going to take your calls. It is open line, and we're going to use this time to share with each other. We might call each other to account. We might complain about something. We might even offer up a compliment. But perhaps in sharing, we might actually find common ground. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Young lady, how are you? Thank you for sharing with us. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Right here.
Good place to be?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was listening to you in regards to, pen and paper and technology and so forth. I guess we're just discussing that with you just last week or week before last.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting these computers in the hands of children in school.
Right, you did.
From reception right up until they come out of school, and how much of a pen and paper that they are using.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of these kids know their timetables.
Mm-hmm.
The computer has a lot of good educational stuff on it, but I don't think that the children of the world today should rely on that computer 24/7. They need to learn how to write, how to subtract, and put stuff on paper. Because the day that technology goes down, everybody's going to be crawling on top of each other trying to find out what 2 and 2 is and how do you spell lobster.
Mm-hmm.
So you wonder why the kids have such a big order every school year for all these books and pencils and erasers and all those things, and how much of it is being really used.
Right,
right. They brought the computers into the school fully now. I am not just here beating up on the computers and the school fully with these computers, but the fact of the matter is our children that we claim is having such a hard time getting a job in this island. Technology, not everybody can be technology savvy, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, we need to do a lot of pencil and paper with our children from their reception Up until probably they get to when you go into high school. In the primary school, no kid should have a computer. They should be strictly pen and paper. And then when they go to high school, this is my observation and my idea. No one will have to take it. Don't get me wrong. So I really think that it's really too much technology going on, and it's ruining our generation all over the world.
It may be, you may be sharing, and I know there will be many who would disagree with you as you shared, but it may not be so much the use as it is the overuse and abuse. It's the way it's introduced, the expectation of its use. If I might, in an attempt at something jovial, the story goes about the fellow who, wanted more productivity and profits from his business and was told he needed to computerize his business. So he goes out and he buys, all the computers that were spec'd by the consultant, and he puts them in his place. And, end of the year, when they're going through the books, he found out that not only has he spent a lot of money on computerizing the business, but everything is less productive and almost grind to a halt, and his profits are just, becoming losses. And this consultant came back because he was someone to say, well, I did what you said. Look at what happened. The consultant said, well, first, sir, you got to take the computers out of the box, he bought them. So, just a thought. Anyway, thank you for laughing at that. And maybe you might be the only other person.
Oh boy, no, take them out of the box.
You got to take them with the box, right? I mean, at least the first step, right? So,
exactly.
Anyway, just a thought, Mom. Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, anyhow. I'll just continue listening. If any jumping at me, I'll be calling you back if I get the opportunity.
All right. Well, listen, thank you for sharing. As Ms. Susan reminds us, we have another. But have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you very much to you and all who will share your perspective. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's take this other caller, and then we go to the break. Hey, welcome. See, I tell you, boy, I know where my heart is. To the caller, my apologies. I didn't understand. Let's pause first and then come back to the caller. Stay tuned, please.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new Boneless Hot Sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
It's a 24-karat summer with Digicel. In honor of our first truly COVID-free summer, Digicel is giving away $24,000. Be one of 10 to win $2,400 this July. For a chance to win, all you have to do is switch to Digicel, activate a Prime bundle, or simply pay your bill on time. It's that easy. It takes 2 minutes to get $2,400 richer. Make the choice to win today and visit a Digicel store near you.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
prodigal son.
Grand Cayman, the original Gospel Fest is back. Michelle T and friends in association with JN Money Transfer present Jamaica's 61st Independence Gospel Fest. Saturday, August 5th at the Lion Center. Featuring Prodigal Son, Michelle T, Da Flame, Claudel Clark, Ryan Davis, Laverne Welcome, and Rashada Henry. $30 prepaid, $35 at the gate. Ticket outlet, JN Money Transfer, Funky Tanks, Macross Groceries, all locations. Gate open at 5 p.m., showtime 6 p.m. Come, let's have a time of thanksgiving and praise.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome, Mike, and thanks for sharing us. It will be open line for our program. We're going to take all our calls. Let's start with this next one. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Hey, how are you today? Good afternoon to you.
Good. So far, so good. Going through a little 1 week experiment without the herbs, you know.
Hey, sometimes it's good, you know.
If my mind still clicks wild without it, right?
Yeah, man.
I was watching a video yesterday. Actually, last night I was watching a little video, and it hurt me a little bit, but at the same time made me feel a little hope, you know, because with the whole entire digital currency thing going on, and wanting to be, I would say, 100% cashless, which I don't see. There was a video circulating on Australia with a guy, old guy, walking in, like he went in the store to purchase some strawberries, you know, $1.90. And he put the coins in there. Apparently the store is cashless. He put the coins there and say, hey, take this. This is my legal tender. I'm giving it to my legal tender. They're cash. They're full it. You know, they're refusing it. And he walks out of the store. Everybody's applauding him. Do we think that cashless is the solution to our new society? What, the new norm? Where they want to make it feel like where we're going to start from square one if we don't have any digital currency or any digital cash?
Well, I hope that's not a question that we are allowed to be rhetorical, right? And in listening to you, it's interesting you raise that now, because we're, again, just listening to media accounts, we would gather that that's an increasing move globally, at least in the global north, as it were, right?
Yeah.
And my understanding, and I certainly want to be, you know, better informed and accurately informed, unless and until a country decides that its physical cash is no longer legal tender, merchants, retailers, and like cannot refuse to accept. Now, again, not with any level of being insistent, adamant, or in any which way dogmatic. I understand that in our currency laws and the like, there is a requirement that you can't pay for something using any more than so many 1 cents, so many 10 cents, so many whatever, right? But there's still legal tender. Now, maybe it's no more than $100.01. I think it's less than that, but just for argument's sake. Once you don't exceed whatever that's prescribed for in the law, then if you went into your merchant and you said, I want to buy those candies, and for whatever reason, maybe you just want to make a point, you give them up to that legal limit as permitted by the law in 1 cent, they have to take it, right? Now, I'm told in a discussion that applies to the payment of court fines and only, but I'm not 100% sure. I didn't look at it. The point that was being stressed to us is that as we move increasingly into the use of debit cards and digital payments and away from cash, because now, remember long ago, cash was the nastiest thing in the world. Remember that study that was done, and from the drugs and different things and the germs that want cash, it wasn't so bad, but the last 2 years now it's become this conduit to death, right? You know, people will use anything to scare you. Merchants here were allegedly unwilling to accept cash. The banks apparently love that because they get more fees. Government gets a couple of cents from the transaction as well. But should we be denied the ability to use cash if we so choose? And what if a government decides, for whatever reason, no more cash in our society? It's all digital. Are we willing to accept that?
Well, I'll tell you what, in my opinion, if they go digital, it's virtual. If it's virtual, I would like to learn how to make virtual money instead, because now it's virtual, it's not physical, so I'll feel like I'm depriving my work.
Right.
And so to value physical money, I will have to physically work. To value virtuality, I will have to enter a virtual space. So how is it that they're going to teach people how to make this virtual money without having to physically work?
Yeah.
It's not fair when we don't have to see the physical money and we have to physically work in order to not have this fake cash.
Right. It's interesting. It's a very interesting discussion. It's where I think the study of economics should be a core subject, not to test you, but to teach you, to educate you. And if you look at the US dollar, for instance, and just a casual read of the international media, it is a fiat currency. It's probably backed by its military more than anything else, why it's propped up, the connection to oil. And then you see the BRIC nations and the movement away, and you can, discern for yourself as to why that is, and you can talk to the geopolitical landscape, and you can make inferences. But all that aside, if the US dollar continues to take the hit it's taken, will it become a reserve currency, right? And with that in mind, what happens when, as you said, these things become the norm and your dollar, not just because of inflation, it has no great value, but your dollar now is looked at and says, well, that's no good because you don't have the electronic means. All right?
Then we'll start feeling like Pablo Escobar, then we can start burning our cash and don't feel away, right? I mean, I'd feel luxurious. I kid you not. If I had all that cash and it was worthless, I mean, I'd burn it in luxury.
But only if that cash was equally compensated by some other medium of exchange, right?
Yeah.
And then it becomes... But anyway, it's an interesting discussion, and, with your acquiescence, let's take this other call as we hit up to the news. That's fine?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much, my friend.
All right.
All right. Hey, good afternoon. How are you? Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. How are you today, sir?
Sir, in the most sincere and honest of replies, I am absolutely fantastic. And even if I wasn't, I know I would be. But if you don't mind me just sharing with you and everybody else, I don't say this lightly. I don't say this to offend. I thank God for His mercies, man. I got up this morning. I had a spring in my step and I didn't even have coffee. I had a smile on my face, and it wasn't because of a warm body next to me. I had the promise and the potential of what lies ahead. And then I had somebody unprompted say something good to me and call and say, hey, how you doing? I wish you the very best. And they didn't want anything. Bro, that's a blessing, my friend.
Exactly, sir. Just being alive
yes,
is a
sir.
blessing.
Yes, sir.
Because I know many people didn't rise this morning, But that is the goodness to the good God that we serve.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that.
We're drawing away from that here in Cayman Island. We're drawing away from that very fast. It's sad to know. So,
why do you think that is, sir?
I'm putting myself in place of the old folks now. I'm on the back burner. But Mr. Turner was wondering if you could answer this question for me. Does the monetary authority have any control or anything over the credit union? That's just one question. And did you have any luck or any no luck? I don't like that word. Any chance of speaking to anyone from there in connection with the MoneyGram situation? Just curious.
Yeah, I can try to answer, and I only answer it informally because that's all it has been thus far. So your first question, the credit union, as I understand it, and you can talk to them directly, like any financial services institution, is regulated by law and monitored by the credit union, by the monetary authority, right? My understanding, again, informally, that the monetary authority, when it comes to the commercial banks, seemingly has little or no teeth in this legislation and is directly precluded from dictating to the banks what they can and can't do. Some have posited because we don't have a central bank. Others have said because we've just failed to pass legislation that creates a level of oversight. The banks presumably can decide either collectively as a banking cartel. Some would have used that in an inflammatory tone, and others would say, well, it's akin to such, whether through collusion or just collaboration otherwise, and say, listen, our fees for these services are now this. And unlike, as I understand, unlike CUC and other entities that has, at least on paper, legislation where there's a regulatory authority that needs to approve certain things, whether that happens in practice or not isn't the contention. And these fees need to be approved for them. The banks can say, today your check cashing fee is 50 cents. We're going to up that to $1 or $100. And there's little or no consumer protection, oversight, or approval that needs to be had. Right? They can choose, as they have, relative to their policies. Now, should that be the case? And whichever, right? We had a very, very long time ago reached out to the Banking Association and say, hey, would you come on and do Banking 101? Come talk to us about banking, encourage people into the banking career to explain to us, the ins and outs of banking, how you open a checking account, what are some of the things, how do you get a mortgage, just information. We exhausted almost every avenue, and there was little or no willingness. That's not to be disparaging. I only emphasize that to what extent in our education system, formally, in our homes, informally and otherwise, are we teaching our children as a good friend, a very dear friend, someone I have come in increasingly more and more to admire just for what that person possesses, right? The life skills, from how do you check on the hood of your engine to recognize certain things, male or female. How do you balance not just your checkbook anymore, because maybe we don't have those, but paying attention to their money in our account. How do we save and budget? How do we sew on a button? How do we recognize that maybe your tire is worn? I mean, things that you learn as you go through life, things that are beneficial to you in life. One of my brothers, probably all the great things that my siblings have done for me. This one said, okay, now you're going to university, you got a car, you know how to change your oil? Yeah, I know you know, but let me show you. Here are the tools you're going to need. I'm going to make the first oil change for you. And don't tell me no foolishness that you don't know, because I know you know. And he showed me, and he did it, right? And thank God that car served me well. It was very safe. And the little things that he not just encouraged me to do, remind me that I knew how to do, you just need to have the confidence to do. But here are the tools to do it, and this is how you do it. And just like our father taught us, like many people were taught by others in their lives, are we doing that? What about in the kitchen? To what extent are we teaching not just the recipes, but how do you crack the egg? How do you safely navigate the knife in your hand to cut the carrots and the celery and to, it may sound, well, yeah, I do this. But are you teaching somebody? How did you learn? And with the greatest of respect, how many of us actually think the food that we eat comes from a box we took out of the fridge? Not even much less that somebody had to go buy it. Now, I'm not saying that to tell you that if you don't know that, there's something wrong with you. Perhaps something is wrong with us for not teaching you, whether you're now 5 years old or 50. And it isn't because, we raised up in the Caribbean and men don't know nothing about the kitchen. That's BS. My dad and my brothers, my uncles, and one of my brother-in-laws in particular, man, they're the best cooks in the world. I mean, boy, don't you think that the children and the spouses aren't happy for that? And some men cook better than some women, and some women cook better than some men. But if the man can sew on a zipper, tack on a button, do we call him a sissy? Look at how we say, oh, she is a seamstress and he's a tailor. But don't they both in the profession of haberdashery, and don't they both sew clothes and stuff? See, because we use the masculine and feminine in English language, are we disparaging and discriminating and dividing? I say that to share that I got constantly in much discussion with many of my teachers, because I refuse to say waiter and waitress and call, the feminine number in the Spanish class. I understood that there was a difference. Maybe because it was a different language to me, I had to respect that. But in English, why should you be called a waiter and you be called a waitress when I was only, not yet in my teens. I didn't agree with it then, and I don't agree with it now. If you're doing the same job, you should be getting the same pay for the same experience and called the same thing. Now, I can tell you, I had, thank God, 2 good teachers that respected that. The rest of them, my perspective on them perhaps would be disparaging and disrespectful if my mother heard me say it. But they subscribed to what they were taught. I strongly and vehemently disagree with it, and I stand that. So in this break, call me and say, boy, you know what, I thought you were this, that, next thing, and you're now convinced that I stand on principle, or you may have a different view. I want to hear from you. I still want to share these thoughts. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services, Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. The Breast Cancer Foundation in the Cayman Islands announces the appointment of Beverly Edgington as the organization's new chief administrator. In international news, artificial intelligence can safely read breast cancer screening images, a Swedish study suggests. Researchers led by a team at Lund University found computer-aided detection could spot cancer at a similar rate to 2 radiologists, but they said more research was needed to fully determine whether it could be used in screening programs. Experts in the UK agreed AI offered huge promise in breast cancer screening. Pop star Lizzo is being sued by 3 of her former dancers over claims including sexual harassment and creating a hostile work environment. The legal action includes accusations of sexual, religious, and racial harassment, discrimination, assault, and false imprisonment. The singer is also accused of fat-shaming and pressuring a dancer to touch a performer's breasts. Lizzo and others who are accused have been approached for comment. The singer has not yet responded publicly to the allegations made in the case, which remain to be tested in court. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
It's one of the best moments of your life when you welcome your baby into the world. The HSA's Experienced Women's Health and Maternity team provides the highest quality of care throughout your pregnancy and delivery. As a JCI accredited hospital, we are the leader in maternal care, safely delivering over 700 babies annually. Visit hsa.ky for more information. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
I'm Liani Tibbetts, Miss World Cayman Islands 2022, and I need your help to keep Cayman clean. When you're out and about, please dispose of your trash in the proper containers. Do not throw trash out of your car or leave it on our beaches. And if you see litter, take a moment to pick it up and dispose of it properly.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Through several accounts, the first blacks to make Cayman home were runaway slaves from Cuba called Barba and Mateo, and they settled at Watering Place on the island's northern shore. The former is also commemorated in the name of Barber's Well. This well was said to be very deep and have no bottom. Barba and Mateo are said to have been adopted by Robert Scott and one of the Riches, changing their names to Ben Scott and Thomas Matthias Rich, and later were known as Old Daddy Ben and Old Dick. Although legend also has it that when the first whites came to Cayman Brac, they found a slave already living on the island who had run away from Grand Cayman.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from Founded Upon the Seas, A History of the Cayman Islands and Their People by Michael Creighton and the New History Committee.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
For the Health of It, helping you live fuller, healthier lives. Airing Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. and repeated Saturday mornings at 9:30. For the Health of It is a health and wellness-focused program brought to you by the Health Services Authority. Caring people, quality service. Visit hsa.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. It is open line according to the digital clock on the wall. It's now almost 1:06. Let's go back to the phones. Welcome back, Mr. G.
Yeah, Mr. Sterling, I don't know what happened. I guess technology now is so advanced that all kind of things is happening, turning bad now.
Yeah, well, we can say to you it could be anything, but we can publicly acknowledge that consciously, deliberately, or otherwise, we did nothing here to disconnect you. So, you know, yeah. But thank you for at least calling back. Yes, sir.
So, yes, I know that. A couple of other little issues. What is happening? In fact, I didn't even hear what you said about the credit union. But anyhow, we pass on with that because they got cut off. So I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I was just saying basically that the credit union is, like financial services institution, they have a credit union law, and the Monetary Authority has some oversight in terms of compliance with the stuff. It does have its policies, and maybe just have a conversation. You have questions. I always believe, is it what, 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, whatever, but just go to the credit union and say, listen, I have these questions and concerns. I want to know what's what. It could be a miscommunication. It could be a misunderstanding. It could be them, not just them, the credit union, but people do things, just religious. It's out of habit without understanding that, maybe it has an impact on somebody in a way that it was unintended. Ask.
Yeah. What happened, Mr. Sterling, is that I thought that as long as any monetary transactions taking place in the island, that the Monetary Authority would be involved, but I could be wrong. But we got to pass on to that. But I think that the Monetary Authority should be involved in any financial business that takes place in the island. And another thing, Mr. Sterling, I'm feeling sorry for the elderly, including me. Not that elderly, but I'm elderly. I passed my 4 scores. My 3 scores, sorry. I passed my 3 scores.
You're still young, sir. You're still young.
I passed my 3 scores in 10, but I am sorry for us and those that are older than us, because the situation not only in Cayman but in the world, because Cayman is following the world now. I don't know, maybe as the future government in time, I guess it mightn't be in my time, can put some programs in place for the elderly to know, because banking for the elderly, everything is online and everything is, this card, and you got to use that card, and the elderly people don't know nothing. That wasn't in our era. That wasn't in our time.
I hear.
We are sitting back, and we're like just forgotten about like crying in the wilderness, because nobody is listening to the elderly. I think by December, that what is happening now in Cayman with these banks, that you're going to see some Caymanians losing their homes. I don't want that to happen, but I've seen it in the future, and this is talking from an uneducated person, but knowing and growing in Cayman and seeing the situation.
Yeah,
I think that they're going to be able to lose some homes, and I don't know what can be done to save them. But I feel that it's coming between now
Right.
and December.
So-
you're going to see the change with these mortgages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Mr. George, if I may ask you, you said December, you're very specific. Why December? Why not next week or a year from now? Why December?
well, I just put, you got to make it look sweet. You got to make it look sweet. Tell you get used to the sweetness, and then it'll hit you like that. But we can just leave that to Mr. Sterling.
Maybe that's...
I want to hear somebody else's opinion.
Yeah, let's do that.
What is going to happen to the elderly people? They're not how no programs in place to educate us. Say, well, banking online, you can pay your bills online, and all of that. And if the younger children of the families don't assist these elderly people, what's going to happen to us?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? So I leave that with just
Yes, sir.
Somebody else's
Yes, sir.
opinion. But it's a lot of issues in Cayman Islands that need to be sorted out, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think it's time, as I've been increasingly reminded, talk is cheap. Time for solutions and positive intervention, action, right? I know that there have been endeavors, we've had them in the program, where they've said, they're teaching those who don't know, not just the elderly and the retired, about technology. How do you use some of the social media? How do you use your cell phone? Many of us take to that more easily. Some of us refuse to. Different reasons. And to Mr. George's last point, one of our listeners says, what that fine caller is talking about, I can see that happening, sadly, sir. And I just wanted to maybe get from him, because if he says, this is the age that he's at, he's had life experience. He might be able to give us an insight. He may be totally on point. He could be, off. It doesn't matter. But if we talk and share, and if we think and we act together consciously, productively and positively, maybe we can come to some meaningful solutions. I said the talk is cheap, and some people say, well, oh boy, that's harsh words. But haven't we heard it? Don't we complain and castigate the politicians for making promises? And then we say, boy, a promise is nothing but a comfort to a fool. Well, a promise is one thing, Are you making a commitment? So let's share with you some of the comments that have been provided to us, and you are invited. I'm actually asking that you share with us your thoughts on any of these. Let me see if I can read it without assistance, and if not, I will do what needs to be done to make the magnification how much easier. I'll start with these comments first, and we'll read them as they are. And again, call for clarification, call for greater edification, call to complement what is shared, call to perhaps take a different perspective. This listener writes, says, where are the public meetings for the following? The Minimum Wage Committee, the Cost of Living / landlord payments, the constituency formations, police and crime. No one is speaking with public, and almost no online two-way communication. This is a bad recipe in a democracy. While the island issues are in a spin, the population burst, local unemployment, the big development, and global connections are in overdrive, but seems like no thought of the effects on us now. And again, this is perspective. These are perspectives put forward by some listeners. Call and share your thoughts. Let's read these others as they're sent. Let me pull them up here and invite you to share. You'll forgive me. The font is a little bit smaller. Dun, 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 dun. Look, I can see tomorrow. What was that song? Don't you wish you was hot? No, she said no, don't do that. Bullet points perhaps. Let's read them. It says, government planning to collect stamp duty from landlords. Government wants to raise the minimum wage. Government wants to move to a very expensive climate change initiatives. Government is trying its hardest to destroy the Cayman middle class. Quickly turning into the haves and the have-nots. The cost of living is unchecked. The cost of energy unchecked. Cost of food unchecked. Regulations for chicken egg farmers. Expats to help regulate your chickens and animals. Cayman has never raised chickens, it seems. There's ban on reasonable priced cars. Soon, a ban on single-use plastics. All the things that affect our daily life. Stress is through the roof. The psychiatric harm and suicides follow these trends. Cayman being groomed for the ultra-rich, not the average Caymanian. Class and caste systems like some. So sad. Where are we heading? And, this, I want to say is, a lot of headaches being created, a lot of things impacting infrastructure. And seeing that Caymanians are just being relegated to the margin. I'll paraphrase that, given the impassioned, way that was presented. But what do you think? And then maybe it's easier for us to look and see the division and the discord and the disharmony and all the things that are causing us to become perhaps despondent and have a sense of despair, that hopelessness. But what are we doing? And what is the answer? Now, I believe that the collective we, and if we borrow from the example of the Vision 2008 exercise, when that was done in the late 90s, it was an attempt, I think, to bring our collective minds together. Maybe what would have been termed crowdsourcing in today's parlance was just that. A lot of people put their time and energy into that. And whether the document they produced was beneficial or not, many would say it was. But it can't be just empty words on a paper, in a document on the shelf. And as citizens, specifically as voters, should we expect the politicians to have all the answers? Should we complain and chastise them for what is done and not done? If we are asking them for something and we get it, we're happy, but that same thing is done for somebody else, is it fair? As an example, Mr. Politician, Mrs. Politician, give me $50 to pay my phone bill. Oh, thank you, sir. You're a good person. But if someone else comes and asks for it, gee, look at the handouts. Is it not the same $50? Just give it to a different person? Well, it may not be. I say that to ask of this. Many have asked the question when we see it in other jurisdictions. Some of the names are connected to some of the people here. They were just in a different jurisdiction at the time. Some of the names are familiar to us because we read the regional and international news. Some of the names are even more familiar because the politicians and public officials in those spaces are somehow interactive with ours over here. And this idea of getting the residency by investment. Before we talk more about that, let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How you doing?
Excellent. How are you today?
Pretty good, except trying to deal with the heat. Everything else is pretty good.
Man, she honey?
I want to comment briefly on what George was talking about, but before that, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but, it seems like the government is doing everything they possibly can to hurt the people of this country. And when is it going to stop? I mean, tell me honestly, when in the history or in your time that an American vehicle was not proven in this country? There was never a time in my lifetime that an American vehicle was never proven. You tell me if you remember any time that it was not proven in this country.
Well,
right?
Yes, sir.
Because of the stupid laws they just passed, right?
Uh-huh.
That is something that hurts us as Caymanians. And briefly, it's the government to blame for what is happening in this country because they don't have enough balls to say, you know what, enough is enough. We got upset a lot of people, but we got to do what is good for the people of this country. And if that doesn't happen, we got to be worse than what United States is right now because the United States, I don't think, can get any worse. I just hope it gets better because it's such a great country, and to see what is happening and to see where we are going, it's not good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, one quick comment about George.
Yes, sir.
He made a hell of a good point. And you know what? Guess what? The day that it comes that I can use my currency to get whatever I want to get or do whatever I want to do. I just hope that I'm not around, because you know what? That is another thing that you got to blame the government for, because if you go by onto Cayman Airways, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry, we cannot accept cash. You have to have a debit card. Who started this crap? The government. They are to blame for what is happening in the country.
Yeah.
So before we point fingers at anybody else or the banks or anybody else, we need to look at where the problems are coming from. And it's our government, because they're not standing up, and they're making laws, and sometimes you got to find out the hard way for yourself.
Right.
That is not right.
Right. If you are so inclined, right, I want to ask a question and invite you to share your perspective. The things that the government should be doing that it is not. You don't have the courage, as you shared. What are those things that the government, the politicians should be doing, the laws, the policies, the programs, whatever it is that they should be doing that would be beneficial to the country and Caymanians that they're not doing, in your humble opinion?
They need to stop pleasing every other nationality that come to this country and concern themselves about the Caymanians. There's a number of things that they can do to make the Caymanians' life a lot better in this country. I mean, just look at the work field alone, the businesses, right? How many Caymanians you see out there that is say, well, I got a job in a restaurant, I got a job here in construction, I got a job here. It's not a lot. So there's tons of things that the government could be doing that could benefit the Caymanians people. I mean, I could make a list and I could share it with you a lot in more details than, you know, because you
yes, sir.
asked that question to me and I wasn't prepared.
No, that's fine. You make a list. Thank you.
And it's really sad, Dwayne, because, I mean, I am not the only one. Everybody I speak to nowadays is speaking about the direction the country is going in. And is it good? The answer, no, it's not good. I mean, you can come from any part of the world and you can say that I'm a technician, I'm a this, I'm a that, right? And you get a job right away. A Caymanian goes in to apply for a job. Oh, you got to have this, you got to have that. But on the other hand, the other person now doesn't have to require or present or show all of that, those documents or everything else.
Right.
But it's I mean, and another thing, just quickly, Dwayne.
Of course.
You know, this is really, really serious, right? The law, there's a law in the immigration department, enforcement or where it is, saying that you have to take an English test, and if you fail that test, right, we cannot allow you to stay in the Cayman Islands. You know, that is the biggest pack of rubbish and an insult to people of this country. I don't know who's behind it, whether there's some peddling behind the counter or with certain privileges or whatever the case may be. But we have people on this island that cannot speak a word of English. And I just had a friend of mine, his guys went to do the English test and they failed. And you know what? Within 3 or 4 days, they had to go back home. And yet, every minute of the day, I'm hearing conversations. Nobody can speak English. Why are they here on the island? It's too much slackness going on in this country. It's too much slackness, and it needs to stop. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to me. That's my 2 cents of the day. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you for taking time to share. And with the greatest respect, you, like many of us, make a list of those things that are wrong. List of those, preferably of possible solutions to address them. I can't speak for anybody else, but I will say to you, even if they're critical of me, even if they were said with the most malice and vitriol, I would try to find good in it, because it's what I try to do. Doesn't mean I'm going to take it on board, doesn't mean I'm going to agree with it, but I've always, as a personal sort of mantra, try to find good in all people and all things. Try to see if in this situation I can benefit from it. Even if you know that the person is malicious, spiteful, hateful. They'll find a word that means the worst thing, and even if the thing they're saying isn't true, they just do that to hurt you. You know what? Let me see what I can get from that. I have somebody in my life who can say things and there's no malice. Even the most cutting of things, you just say with such love and nurturing. Man, if you don't have somebody like that in your life, you're missing a good thing, because they got your back. They got a good interest, right? You know, not just your mama and your daddy and your spouse and your sibling and your good friend. Those things help. But there's also the flip side of that. When somebody will say to you, well, I was just telling you the truth. Yeah, it's the truth, but how you said it and why you said it. What was the motivation behind that? Just to tear you down? Listen, is it just as easy to kick somebody to hurt them as it is to reach a hand and say, let me pull you up, or let me stand here somehow and push you up, support you? To that caller, that's the problem that we have here, you know. We don't want nothing, but we're even happy to see other people get nothing. I don't know, boy. I don't know. All right, we're going to share a couple of things, right? But we got some callers. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, hello. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine and excellent, man. Don't worry. Be happy.
Well, you can still worry and be happy. Talk to me.
Of course.
Yeah, man.
Listening to some of what you're saying, as my grandfather would say, or it did say, it's just cheap to kill a man is to frighten him to death.
Sometimes fear kills more than action, huh?
So true, man. But couple of points of reality. In this island, there is a saying that goes also. Nobody cares. That's becoming to be a reality, that nobody cares. And I'm not saying there's nobody cares 100%.
Right.
But you look at the situation is in Grand Cayman right now. There's so many Caymanians. I am wondering. I think I should take them to a dentist or something to see if their jaw locked. All of the rhetoric that's going on, and you cannot open your mouth to say something to defend yourself and your country. But you know what? You got some of these people that's into this country from other countries. Specifically, if you are a Caymanian, they have no literal use for you. And if you are a real Caymanian that stands up, boy, they will eat you with a grain of salt. But you know what? This might sound a little bit on the aggression side, but until we decide that we can stand up and look any of these people straight in the eyes and say, this is my country. You are not going to override me or bull me or talk me down. You know, look at the airways. It is jam-packed with ads and all sorts of a lot of things. What I call is rhetoric. Why do we not have into the day some time to really have a reality check about what's going on in this island and the people, the Cayman people? As Blackadder would say, some of us are too weak to fly. But, you know, not all of us are too weak to fly. And a couple of things that you hit just a minute ago, that you get something in life, especially if you're Caymanian. And boy, you can see the hatred, the animosity, the grudge. But if you're a Caymanian that don't have anything, they like to laugh at you. I see that on a daily basis. Until Caymanians stand up in your rightful place in this island, you are doomed, because you have a set of aggressive people into this island now. That, boy, you know, that's true, but I don't mean to say anything about this one and that one or anything. I don't need to bash anyone. If they can bash you, you can bash them. Call them out by the name. Lastly, what I would like to say to the government, the people that are elected, I'm not hearing them getting up and saying anything really positive for the Cayman people. I mean, everybody's like a low profile. You can't get head or tail if you ask a question. You know, so much going on this island. The norm of the day is money. Money is the glory, my friend. We all need money, but how much is enough? What are you going to do with it? Again, I must repeat what I told you the other day. That building there going down there in West Bay by the four-way stop. What a ridiculous looking thing to have right in, you would say, your capital of West Bay. And nothing, listen, man, you know, some of these people that you or not you, but is elected, and they make themselves like they're John Travolta. It is so disgusting what they're doing. You think people not seeing it? They think they're doing a good job. Not in my side and many more. We are so in the wrong direction. But it comes a time, in not too long in the distant future, the chickens are coming home to rest. My friend, I got going, but time is not on my side. I got another thing to do, so I will call you back another time.
Yes, sir. At your convenience.
Certainly nice to talk with you and for you to listen to me. So have a pleasant day. Thank you again.
Thank you. You too. Always a pleasure. As we go into the break and then we take the calls quickly, one listener says, stamp duty on the landlords. There's another nail in Cayman in this coffin. Another one says, the government is doing nothing to lower the cost of living. Absolutely nothing. Our listener online post this, says a dissenting view is an opinion that does not agree with others, especially one that goes against a mainstream opinion. All right, let's pause and take a break. You're in the queue. We'll get to you right after. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Hey, is your phone slow, overheating, and dropping important calls? Don't fret. This summer, it's time to flip out with Digicel. Introducing the all-new Samsung Flip 4 with its sleek design and cutting-edge features. You'll flip into the summer in style and confidence. This summer, you can grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4, all just for $145. Flip into the summer with Digicel. Visit a Digicel store near you and grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4 and the amazing 7-day Prime Ultra plan today.
Hello, Cayman. If you have been chosen for the STEPS National Health Survey, thank you so much. But we still need your help. 1,000 more people need to participate in Step 3, the final step of the survey, to ensure that our data reflects the whole population of Cayman. We cannot do this without you. Help us shape Cayman's healthcare services. Say yes to Step 3. For more information, contact the STEPS team on 936-4969 or email mhwsteps@gov.ky.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what, though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Bordentown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you want to go scuba diving on your vacation, don't bedazzle your wetsuit. And you think you look great, but what you don't realize is that you look like a shiny, scaly fish. And it won't take long for a shark to notice you. Next thing you know, you're busting out every karate move you got. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance and get airlifted out to the closest hospital.
Get coverage for emergency evacuations. CG Britcay. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. It is open line and we're going to take our callers. Thank you for being a part of a discussion. Welcome, good afternoon.
Sorry?
Hey, afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. I was waiting until now you got me. I was just making certain. Yes, first time on your program.
Well, thank you, man. I hope it's not your last.
No. I have a question. I just let you answer. The other day I went to the bank. It happened twice. I went to the bank. I know regardless, you have to have an account in the bank to change the check or whatever. But this time I have an account in the a U.S. account in the bank. I went there, joined the line, found the queue about half an hour, went up. The girl to get some U.S. The girl is saying that it's going to cost me 1.5% to take the money. I said, no, I don't be, because I tried the machine at first. I said, let me go to the teller. I wasn't getting the U.S. money, U.S. dollars anyway. Went to the counter. She said, when the cost me, I decided, I will not pay the 1.5%. So I go back to the machine, not giving me. So I went to the customer service. I told her my card is not working because of a U.S. account here. And she said, let me see what you're doing at the ATM. We both went back to the machine. She said, sir. She went back. She said, nothing wrong with the card, but there's no money in the ATM, U.S. dollars in the ATM. So I said, how can I get some money? She said, I have to join the line and pay the 1.5%.
Right.
That, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, no, I will not have this because it happens. So why? I'm in the bank. If I get the money over there, I will get the money over the counter, but I can't get in the ATM. I said, okay, I'm in the bank. I'll wait till the load the bank. I'll wait till the load. Then I will pull the money from the machine. She said, no, they already load and the money is finished. But I realized they're lying. They don't have no money in the bank. They want to charge you that 1.5% because it happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened before to me. They told me that I went all over the island looking the U.S. dollars from my ATM. Them have posted all around the island. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there. So I decided, the girl is telling me that, no, because of this and that and whatever case. You know what I have to do? Cut long story short. I have to end up take the money from the over the counter, join the line again, take the money from the counter, and pay that 1.5%.
Yep.
Of you know what I mean? And I couldn't believe it, you know. But there's no money in the bank at no given time you could get US. Actually, they said finish.
Yeah.
But why? The question I'm asking, you're in the bank. Why can't they load again?
Yeah.
For you to get the money?
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, right? And we have referenced that a number of times in recent years because many of the merchants have also expressed that they've gone to their account that they maintain at their bank and take out US cash and had to pay, significant money to take out the money from their account, right? Just like you have. We know that the US dollar is readily accepted, but it's not legal tender in the country, but it's readily accepted, right? As it is in many jurisdictions. But I'm also told that if you take out Canadian or any other foreign denomination, you also pay a fee. And I'm also understand that if you go to the credit union and you take out a certain amount, I don't know what the sum is, whether it's over 3,000 or whether it's over 1,000, but if you take out a sum at the teller, there is $1 or $2 over-the-counter transaction fee. And banks are making increasingly more profits from fees and service charges. So if that's the case, if you've experienced as many, what do you think can and should be done about that?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know. I I just want to ask a question. I'm trying to call it for the longest time, but you know your program, you know. I'm trying to stay a while before I get on.
Yeah, man.
But you're talking about the credit union is $1 for every 1,000. I can tell you this, being as we can go there. It's $15 for every 1,000 you draw from the bank.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if you're drawing $4,000, you know that it's going to be $60. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so forth and so on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they took the money and they gladly accept it. And I just walk out and I say, oh my God, you know what I mean? But I know how they do their business. I know that it's business, you know, but you know what I mean? And I don't know.
Yeah.
I just decided to put it out there, you know
No,
what I mean?
thank you.
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
I just decided to put it out there because I don't want to say it to the longest while. I told the girl, I said, listen, I told the customer service representative, I said, I will put this on the talk show and I will. I'm going to.
No.
Because why you can't load the machine? I'm here waiting for the machine to load and I pull the money from the ATM.
But this is where the consumer needs to be actively informed and engaged and say, you know, we don't mind doing business this way, but we won't accept this. Just like they would comment positively about good customer service or good business practice, maybe they should also voice, as you have done so respectfully, is this a fair practice? Is this something that other people are experiencing? You know, maybe the fee shouldn't be 1.5%. Maybe it could be 0.5%. You know, whatever the thing is. But thanks for bringing it to attention, and maybe something that is just an oversight. Maybe something that can be addressed in an amicable way to your satisfaction.
I know the bank, but I won't call them.
No, that's not important at this stage. Yeah.
Yeah. Important. Thank you very much.
No, thank you too for sharing that with us, you know, and I wish that we become a better consumer base. Thank you, sir. All right, let's take some other calls. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon, man.
Hey, welcome, man. How are you today?
Okay, Dwayne, you alright?
Oh, thank God, man. I am. Honest to God, I am. Thank you so much.
Okay. So when it comes to those banks, the government are the only ones that are able to help us with them. And they have the power to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But what's going to happen to them at the end of all this is so terrible. You're not even thinking about it. I never call you for that, Dwayne.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Concerning Northwood Prison. That prison was built in 1981. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is not in good condition at all. It's still level with the ground, first of all. God forbid if we was to have a tidal wave. It's a possibility everyone in there could be drowned. And then, if there was some, God forbid, electrical fire, the guards have to open the cells with a key. They do not have a button that opens all cells at once in case of emergency, which they should have. It's not only endangering the lives of the inmates, but the security guards also.
Mm-hmm.
We had a prison inspector come here from England. Must be about 12 years ago now. And he was very disappointed when he saw Northwood in the Cayman Islands, for a country that has so many finances. And he went to the West Bay Station and he said they are not supposed to lock anyone up in the West Bay Station. That's why they don't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because he said it's a place where people would think about committing suicide. So the government needs to make plans to build proper prison facility for these individuals. These are human beings. Their fathers, grandfathers, and somebody's child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And none of them were sentenced to death. Thank you very much, Dwayne.
Thank you for speaking for those who may not be able to at this time speak as freely as they want. So appreciate it. All right, we're going to take our callers. We'll also take our break. We certainly value our advertisers for having confidence, knowing that they can reach the widest audience. So please stay on the line and we'll join you right after.
As a general rule, your septic tank should be pumped out by a professional every 3 years. During hurricane season, however, it is important to keep your septic tank at least partially full to keep it from floating or collapsing during a storm. For more useful hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
All aboard the Pizza Boat! Cayman's newest pizzeria. Birthday parties, office luncheons, summer camps, game night. Whatever your occasion, bring the fun with Pizza Boat. And Cayman Twist to pizza. Bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. What's more, now you can enjoy a boat-shaped pizza with toppings of your choice. It's Pizza Boat. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky. Pizza Boat. Experience the ultimate pizza voyage.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Hello, Cayman. If you have been chosen for the STEPS National Health Survey, thank you so much. But we still need your help. 1,000 more people need to participate in Step 3, the final step of the survey, to ensure that our data reflects the whole population of Cayman. We cannot do this without you. Help us shape Cayman's healthcare services. Say yes to Step 3. For more information, contact the STEPS team on 936-4969 or email mhwsteps@gov.ky.
Prodigal son. Grand Cayman, the original Gospel Fest is back. Michelle T and friends in association with JN Money Transfer present Jamaica's 61st Independence Gospel Fest. Saturday, August 5th at the Lion Center. Featuring Prodigal Son, Michelle T, Da Flame, Claudel Clark, Ryan Davis, Laverne Welcome, and Rashada Henry. $30 prepaid, $35 at the gate. Ticket outlet, JN Money Transfer, Funky Tanks, Macros Groceries, all locations. Gate open at 5 p.m. Showtime 6 p.m. Come, let's have a time of thanksgiving and praise.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And we love and value all our callers and respect, your patience and willingness to hold on. So we're going to try to take all of our calls and each one be respectful for the other. See how we can get through it. Welcome, good afternoon.
Yeah, Ian, how you doing? Good?
Yeah, man, yeah.
You sound so, man. You sound so.
Thank God, man. I am.
Nice. Yeah, well, I just want to kind of chime in with some my thoughts and observations,
Of course.
But when I listen, the feedback I'm getting for a lot of the usual callers is that I guess they could be seen in some quarters as being mischievous, complaining, criticizing, ridiculing. But what I'm picking up really in it all is that they're being very passionate about their statements, that's why they probably call it in the first place. And, the place called Cayman is a special place, obviously. And I guess to some of us, we see it in a different light, in the sense that it's so near and dear, when you compare it to a lot of other places. Just look at how much nationality is here. It's not just for the big dollar, It's for, it's because of you have places right here in the Caribbean, when you know that, many places in the Caribbean, that the ethnicity of people, they don't even mix. There is conflict constantly going on in the country, right? Now, having said all of that, we coexist here, even though, we're starting to have, I can feel some friction building. And what is happening is we having social decay along our development. And no matter what, no one should think that they can vote for any perfect government. Anyone that they elect, you may not have the same problems with the new ones as you had with the last, and the same issues. But there will always be problems because you're dealing with humans and their judgment. And many times they go wrong. Now, could it be said that the easier thing, the simpler things, the more obvious, the more necessary is that the people of the country should come first. Because in any country, this is my favorite pet peeve, I guess, is that the land of a country is the sovereignty of its people. And that should be given more attention. But, we could be very critical of the way that we are developing. Let's take some of the school children, after school. A lot of these people are not ready for the real world. They don't come out with any vocational training. They don't have no skills. If you put them somewhere else, you drop the average person that you see coming here. You drop them in the North Pole, South Pole, wherever you drop them in some of the most critical and dire environments, they will survive because of the background that they come from. But we don't have that, and I think it's really kind of time that we start to prepare our people for the real world. And
the life skills, huh?
Yes, and parents have to do. You see, every one of us is born with some kind of inclinations and gifts, you could call it, talents that we would have for some particular thing, and it may not be what the particular people that that is your guardians or your parents or your people around you who think that you should be a lawyer or a doctor. That maybe not be your calling, and at an early age it's good to get so you can groom people. That's how you build a society. But we have kind of bypassed that type of affection to development, and it's not going to serve us well down the road. But as I said, you won't get any government that's going to be perfect and to do the right things all along. Dot all the I's, cross all the T's, perfect right every step of the way. Having said that, it's people are the government. The people are the government of any country. They are the government. The elected leaders are not really the government per se. They're the people with power, so they use the term government to govern. But until Cayman people get more involved in their development of their country, and I'm not talking about just talking, they need to organize themselves into groups and things to educate each other. We don't have to be building like a violent revolution, but we need to be building an educational revolution. And every developing country has to have that in it, or a lot of things go awry,
Yeah.
But I just want to ask you, because I'm not too sure, I haven't really asked anyone yet. Have you ever thought what is the criteria for a, class, third world? What's a third world country? How they deem that? What makes Cayman a first world country compared to the rest?
And by extension, by you saying and inferring that Cayman is a first world country, would other people agree with that?
Yeah, this is it. It's like I've had like questions thrown at me too, and I don't know who to go to or where to go. You can't go to a dictionary, you know that, right? So I'm still pondering at what makes Cayman a first world, because I see a lot of things in other third world countries that we lack, that I think is very important for any development of any country and its people.
Right.
And you don't have that. I mean, what's the point of having paradise if you can't afford to live in it? That's the first thing.
Yeah. And interestingly, to your point, what may be interesting is that we may see things in Cayman that presumably first world countries, whether they're part of the G7 or G20 or otherwise, that we may possess here that they don't there. Now I say that to ask, have we done ourselves a disservice by continuing to label things we classify first world and third world? In so doing, is it convenient for us? Is it creating more control by division? Very, very good, insightful points.
I think it's a negative stigma, Ian.
Yes, sir.
And it's very hard to put your thumb on it, because I could argue with the brightest analysts on that basis is like, but I see so many things here that is socially right, that we don't have in our order, we don't have implemented, that other countries seem to have it. For instance, when a lot of other countries, the third world countries, that the IMF owns them, and they have things in place such as like when you get a certain age, you know, it is like almost like most of your bills or your debt will actually fall in half to the point of medical and things such as your probably your transport and all this like that. Now maybe we've seen in a different light here that Cayman is so well off, and I think that is a false perception, because not all of us, and what is happening is that the so-called middle class that we had is no really longer visible per se.
Yes.
And I think that is still a lingering thought that we have a hangover on that basis that we still we're the best off place in the Caribbean financially. So people have such a false perception. I mean, I have to say out loud that Cayman really builds a false sense of security to many, because what is happening here is that these financial institutions, these lending institutions, they are not home-based. We don't have a central bank per se. They are all owned and governed by a chain which they have a base, right? So, for instance, the U.S. Federal Reserves, once that go up, just about everything, you heard the old adage that once the U.S. sneezes, we catch a flu. The whole world seems to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, having said all of that, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a big cake, but it's still in the oven. How do we get a hold of all of this? Since, we know these things, but where is the remedies? Where are the solutions? So that's what people constantly looking to the politicians for. But my question is, are the politicians really capable of delivering these things in the timely manner that it requires?
Yeah, man.
Do you see the results now, or where it will be? Will the seeds be planted now, and later we can harvest? That I don't know. I if it is, it really could have fooled me. But I'm saying all that to say that no matter who you vote for, we will have, no matter who you elect, you will have problems that we don't agree with, because if it's not one type of administration that's going to give their type of rule, it's going to be another. So problems going to be. The thing is about it, I think the system, it's the model we have, what we govern under too. And yet it serves us a lot better than a lot of other places. Just look around you. These republics, you own a house today, you go buy land someplace in those republics, the government can say tomorrow we change the policy, we're taking that back.
Yeah.
That happens a lot,
Well, we even see that with the U.S. is a republic as well, right? And presumably from the international media, it's new policy that if you travel to Cuba, you may encounter certain challenges and refusals and denials and having some things now, taken from you if you now travel to the U.S., right? And that's one of the interesting things that happen. So to your point, whether it's a banana republic, as some have labeled, or whether the malign socialist countries, as we ascribe that label, are we looking at it carefully? You make some very, very insightful comments, and maybe it'll cause us to think.
I'll wind up on this one, I know you're getting close to that hour. But let me just say this in closing, right? That I think what has happened for development here, with our investors, the people who invest, And, I could go on and say that I don't think we should be selling land any longer. I think we should be leasing it. Because as good as God is, he ain't making any more land, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone can stay in Timbuktu, buy land today for $1 million, sit on it for 6 months and sell it for $1.5 million. You know what that does?
Mm-hmm.
Drive it further and further away from the average Caymanian. It's already far out of reach, right?
Yeah, man.
And we only got, 79 or 8 square miles here or so.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is now, when there is places in the states, because state to state, the law varies in some instances. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But do you know, I was told by a friend who lives in the States that you can actually buy property on the coastline in places, and it extends out in the water as well,
Mm-hmm.
a certain distance. So I'm thinking, I wonder if that perception is met by these investors who's coming here. Maybe no one here is telling them different, because the average Caymanian think that on the edge of the water as far as these people own. And apparently, politicians change it from the high water mark, from the vegetation down to the water edge. So we practically no longer have prescriptive rights.
Well, we do, but they've been enforced. And as we close out this conversation, what if, whether maliciously or ill-informed, those realtors who are selling the properties are misleading? Whether conscious or otherwise, there would be purchaser. Thank you for being conscious of the time. Thank you for your sharing those thoughts. We'll pause for the news. When we come back, we'll take our calls. Stay tuned.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Sollins. On Friday, July 28th, around 10:30 p.m., it was reported that a man was traveling on a motorcycle in the vicinity of North Sound Estates in Boddentown when he experienced difficulties due to the road conditions, lost control of the motorcycle, and fell off. Shortly afterwards, another man unknown to him approached on a bicycle, brandished a knife, and demanded money from the first man. The second man then fled the location on the bicycle with the cash. The matter is under investigation by Boddentown CID, and anyone with information is asked to contact 947-2220. In international news, a U.S. federal jury has sentenced the attacker who killed 11 people at a synagogue in Pittsburgh in October 2018 to the death penalty. The ruling needed a unanimous vote from the 12-member jury for the sentence to be imposed. Prosecutors had asked the jury to vote for the death penalty. The same jury found the man guilty of all 63 charges stemming from the attack on the Tree of Life synagogue. It was the worst anti-Semitic attack in American history. Thousands of soldiers in El Salvador have surrounded a rural region larger than New York City to flush out gang members who are allegedly hiding there. The military deployment in Cabañas was ordered by the president as part of his ongoing war on gangs. More than 70,000 suspected gang members have been arrested since a state of emergency was declared in March 2022. Thousands of people with no discernible link to gang activity have also been swept up in the dragnet of arrests. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Sollins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Honey, did you get your Benzorama ticket yet?
Benzorama what?
The Lions Club Benzorama fundraiser. You could win a brand new Mercedes-Benz.
What? I have always wanted a Mercedes. What kind of Benz?
A brand new sparkling 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Tickets are $25 for 1, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. And you're helping to support the many Lions Club of Grand Cayman causes.
Driving in my new Benz and feeling good about helping the community.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama Fundraiser. Your chance to win a 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available from Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, include site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And how many of us actually know our phone numbers? And as I just heard my name as I put on the headset, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, how much actually say our names? We introduced ourselves, do we? Just a thought. I'll come back to that in a minute, perhaps why I thought that and will share with you. But let's take this caller. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
You're too hyper today. I don't know what you had to eat, but it's working.
Is it hyper? Or is it a man who values life, loves it, respects those around him, and feel inspired and encouraged, knowing that he's nurtured? What do you say, my lady? What do you say?
A little bit of everything.
There you go.
A little bit of everything.
Yes.
I was listening to that guy just now. He said some good, had a good conversation there.
Yeah.
And he said that we are the government, the people are the government, but if we are the government not give us no chance to speak, to voice our opinion.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, because just during the break, I didn't go through all of them, but there were 5 people just quickly messaged and say, wow, who's this guy? He making some good points and just commending him, right? So I appreciate you saying it publicly, and gives me a time to say that more than you just said great points, All right.
Yeah, and he also said that in other words, you're not going to find no perfect government, but the government, every time it's election, every government, every person running for election try to go back on the old government and say that they're not going to do what they done, but someone come back and do worse than what they have done. You understand? So it's 6.5 dozen next, but he has some good points there. And I just want to say the caller before him, talking about the prison and the lockdown and so forth, and how to be turned with a key and all that kind of stuff. Just a couple of days ago when this fire break out there in North Side, a friend of mine was talking about it, and she was saying, can you imagine something like that happening at Northward? I said, yeah, tell me about it. It ain't got to be no border practice there, because like the guy say, ain't no press buttons there. It's all keys to open those doors. And those prison officers, they're going to run for their own life and forget about who's in there. They may take their oath to save lives, but when it comes to that, they might forget they took their oath to save lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah, every man for himself and God for us all, huh?
Exactly. So I just want to say that we do need to get our prisons up to date, and all this free concession that we're giving these investors that money that they're saving, they should turn that back into government and help us build a decent prison, which I don't like to use the word prison or jail or whatever the case may be, but I feel like those investors are getting out like a fat rat. They should give that money to government to build us some good good facilities, from schools and hospitals right down to the jailhouse and the prisons, whatever the case may be. But I will leave you there.
Thank you. Thank you again for calling. All right. Bye. Let's take us at the call. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Sterling. Back again.
Welcome back again, man. Welcome back again.
Boy, that I like to say that I have a great memory, but sometimes when you don't face the problems anymore, you tend to forget, right? I like to admit that I forgot something.
That's okay, man. You have a chance to share with us now.
Yes, sir. You see, the other caller that was before the last two, about the prison. That really does impact the way I think nowadays. That fight and flight kind of instinct, fight or flight. I remember when I was in prison year before last year, and I wasn't in there for anything terrible, by the way. I'm not a criminal.
Would you share?
They have a thing when I was there. I was saying, let me read my rights. I love reading my rights. Because I know that you lose some when you misbehave or don't comply. And I was thinking to myself when I was in there, how am I going to be treated? Am I going to be treated exactly the way how I heard, Hotel California, or am I going to be challenged? And I love a challenge, so I was nervous to see what's going to happen. And surprisingly, I am not surprised. When I went there, the building is terrible. And I tell you, living condition there is just like bare minimum. They give you a new mattress and everything, and I'm like, all right, cool. New clothes, all right, cool. Some of them. And then again, looking at the way the building was built and how the infrastructure has continued to stand since when he said the 80s.
1981, he said.
Yeah, 81. That building is ridiculous. That facility is the worst. You know, during Hurricane Ian, not Hurricane Ian, sorry. Correct.
Ivan?
The one before that, what it was, anyways, right? It's one of those hurricanes in August or something around before that August.
Was this recently? You mean the young hurricane, as the politicians call it, Grace?
2021, I would say, or 2021. I came out August, so I wasn't there only for 3 months. So within that, there was a hurricane that passed through, or a storm.
Yeah.
The building, they had to lock us in during the storm, obviously because it happened, I guess, early in the morning, and you're locked up at a certain time, and you're released at a certain time, you know, to get back out in the open to stretch your legs and whatnot, right? And do your little activities. But during that time, the wind was blowing into the cells. All the rain got into the cells, you know, flooded, and we had to make sure that, you know, we don't want to get our stuff wet, so we got to put it up on our beds and whatnot, right? And it is so surprising how not waterproof these buildings are. I mean, even down to the phone lines, when you have your phone, where the lines that connect the phones to the service or whatever it is, right? Full of water. The light switch is full of water. Like, water is just draining down on these areas on the wall. It's like, I was saying, is the building crying or are we crying? I don't understand. You know, because the water is just getting in. Floors wet. You have to constantly mop it up, constantly try to keep the place dry, and then all of a sudden the telephone communication is down. Yeah. What are we talking about? Are we living in the 90s still, or are we just like not caring about like humans? Like what he said, they're people. and then especially if the electricity is out and the fans aren't running, you're gonna lock people in the cells at that moment. That's not right. I mean, are we dogs in this situation, or are we still human? I don't understand.
Can I ask you, right, with great respect, and you choose whether you wish to respond publicly or we can have the discussion, continue it privately. Given all that you shared about your custodial sentence, you've been in prison, you were there when you got it, how long? Would you want to say to the public what you were there for?
I wasn't there for a traffic incident. That's all I'm...
Right.
I was in DUI.
No, you shared it with me, right?
Yeah.
You shared it with me, and you remember the discussion we had that sometimes, you know, the way things transpire, sometimes I'm only saying it's not about you or to you. I wonder to what extent, when we look at the judiciary and the justice system and incarceration and all those things, I wonder what's happening in our society. Is there a way for us to deal with some of the issues we have, to try to address misbehaviors in a way that lead to a deterrence on the part of other people, to rehabilitate the people from doing what they did previously, to make some sort of, you know, compensation for what may have transpired, other than a custodial sentence, even if one is suspended, right? And I know that you have very eloquently shared often in many forums your perspective on things, and being inspired by the gentleman that called prior, and then further elucidated by the one just then. Are we thinking enough publicly about things that are affecting the society and this impact on us and our well-being?
Well, if I was to put it down pretty simple, I would say that maybe they are not thinking widely about the people. And I heard it. I mean, I'm learning. I love Wednesdays now, but from what I'm hearing, right, it's like the interest of the government is solely, in my opinion, solely on the investors. Now, are the investors the majority of the votes? Because, I mean, I'm just only thinking, right? When I decide to vote, I haven't voted ever. I have my voter's ID. I am willing to vote if the purpose is right. But I don't see that even if I vote, there's any purpose to vote because I'm still living pretty independent. And when you request assistance or when you're starting to request something that is in your interest and you think it's a public interest as well, but nobody is willing to speak about it because apparently everybody just got punched in the jugular. I don't know. But are we talking on trying to defend what we really interested in seeing this island? Where are we seeing this island going? Or are we just like, you know, like when you spin a gig and you're just hoping that the gig spin and stay in one space, but it's going to move around, but you're wondering when it's going to stop.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I'm wondering if we are even thinking about where we are going.
Right.
As the government, because I only just take interest in this because it started impacting me ever since.
Well, that's it, right?
Yeah, and I would like to encourage people that see things to say something about it, because if I run out of water today, am I allowed to ask somebody else to help me to get some water?
Yeah. So let me.
For example, if I can't afford something.
Yeah.
You know.
Let me share with you, being inspired by what you have relayed thus far. Usually, we only become concerned about something when it affects us directly, right? Yeah. Usually, we can only comment constructively from a considered perspective when we have knowledge of the thing. But two things that are even more apparent, to your point about voting, there is growing apathy amongst many of us for different reasons. If we look at, say, the UK and other Western democracies, the voter turnout is abysmal. We boast that it was 87% in the last two elections. We saw it in the 70s, and we still commend ourselves. But if it's declining, even by a small percentage, it is declining. What are we doing to ensure greater voter participation that is free and fair, that is accurate, and there aren't any allegations and contentions about voter fraud and what have you? But when you, like others who say, I don't see the point in voting, you know, what is it my brothers would always say, you know, blood brothers and others, you know, those who are listening can't help and who can help not listening. If the voter refuses to go to the polls, and let's say you have a 30% voter turnout, and the person is elected with one vote, not by one vote, right? Only one person voted, that person is still elected. Right? So, saying that to emphasize the importance of us in a democracy participating in the electoral process, given that many, Mr. Loxley and our veterans remind us daily, that many sacrifice ultimately their lives for us to have these freedoms. So, if we went to the polls and there was only a choice between A and B, and we liked neither, what if we just took and put a big X through the page and say, you know what, neither one of you measure up? Would we have sent a message as opposed to staying away?
Hey, you know, Mr. Sterling, I am thinking about it.
Mm.
You might just get me to vote next time, but hear what? You're going to see a lot more of me if I do vote.
Okay.
But I really do want to think that our government wants to help the Caymanians, but how much does the government think about investing in the Caymanians? For example, if I did vote, just give or take, if I did vote,
right?
If I did have a brilliant idea that might benefit Caymanians, or the community, not Caymanians, sorry. If I did find a brilliant idea that will benefit the majority.
Yeah, I think I heard when you said that you meant to benefit the country generally, right? So as we go into the break, let me just leave this with you and others. When we do participate publicly, and especially if we're eligible to vote and we get registered and we go and participate, but especially when we make our comments in that thing we call social media, let's do it respectfully. Let's do it from an informed, considered perspective, and let's recognize that our opinions are just that, and they're not the only opinions, and as good as they are, they're probably better. And if we invite and encourage others to participate, to see what that brings, and hold people accountable, be willing to accept responsibility for what we do and say, but hold people that we have appointed and elected. All right, let's pause and let's share some other stuff after the break. Wow, I begin to love Wednesdays, he said. Join us after the break.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
I'm Kenneth Bryan, Minister for Tourism and Ports, and I need your help to keep our beautiful islands clean. Littering is unsightly and negatively impacts our tourism industry, which is crucial to our economy. Keeping our islands clean is everyone's responsibility, so let's all work together to keep the Cayman Islands beautiful for generations to come.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
Grand Cayman, the original Gospel Fest is back. Michelle T and friends in association with JN Money Transfer present Jamaica's 61st Independence Gospel Fest. Saturday, August 5th at the Lion Center. Featuring Prodigal Son, Michelle T, Da Flame, Claudel Clark, Ryan Davis, Laverne Welcome, and Rashada Henry. $30 prepaid, $35 at the gate. Ticket outlet, JN Money Transfer, Funky Tanks, Macros Groceries, all locations. Gate open at 5 p.m. Showtime 6 p.m. Come, let's have a time of thanksgiving and praise.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. We got time for at least a couple of calls. We could take one on the regular line and one on the WhatsApp line. But let's go to the regular first. Welcome, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good. Man, it's good to hear your voice, man.
Yes, sir. Likewise.
All right.
Okay.
All right, talk to us, man. We're ready to learn. Okay, we're not able to hear you properly. I don't know if it's the speaker or whether it's our headset or whether it's the gremlins in the line, but we're going to get our fix because we want to hear what our callers have to share. Let's try it again. Yes, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can hear me better?
Oh, we think we can, yes.
Okay. The conversation there with that young man makes you pause and wonder.
Mm-hmm.
If he is so interactive like this, you can imagine or other younger population, how they feel and how they're thinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, when the lady called talking about the prison and all this concession, when I hear about that, it gets me real annoyed in this country. How in God's name you coming into my country and you're a millionaire and you investing because your intention is to make a profit. That's your intention.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you come up in here whenever you want to come through the door. You got all the paperwork, all your documents, whatever it is for you to be able to come here. It's there because you're able at the time to go this far with, submitting things to planning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you already got your foot in the door. And then at the same time, now you turn around talking, our government turn around and sit down with you into conversation about concession. Listen to me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like any concession that we're talking about that anything that we do in this country, 95% for the staffing, need it be construction or to run the operations of whatever the business is, will be local. Any extra, they're coming in on complete different work permit and rollover basis.
Mm-hmm.
When the job done, you get now the hair. We go in Bermuda and them places, you get now your time up. It's not no extension, it's not nothing but you got a farm now, you go on and get engaged with a local. Listen, I'm going to pursue that relationship in your country, and when needed be that, we know definitely that you all together for a while and the farm is growing, and you want to come back home the person want to come back home, yes, we'll think about it. But then again, we need to see the police report to see if it went abused, there was any separation, or have they been living together, the immigration status with that person, the Caymanian person in your country, to prove now that you're coming back in a meaningful contributing to our society, not to drag us down. This thing with the rich people getting concessions, I'm a small business owner. The concession that I get, they're saying that you as a business owner is getting a better rate when it comes to Judah. Yeah, it don't seem so. And almost every time that we clearing something, it's almost similar to what we brought in before, and the Judahs are totally different.
Mm-hmm.
We in trouble in this country. They're doing band-aid fixes with things and believe that the younger generation will sit back and do as our elderly folks did, our ancestors did in the past, where they just be passive. These kids are engaging, and if you don't go, you're educating them. And an educated mind that left astray will go astray. And you cannot be, pointing and say, get a good education, you get a good job. You got coming like the Rothschilds or whoever, one of them, you probably could quote me better than them that we want workers, we want thinkers. That's why it seems like they're telling the kids to do. They're indirectly telling them, educating yourself to what? Be an entrepreneur or to come and work the slave trade? Explain that one to me. I'm going to give you the line and I'm going to listen to you, but I'm going to still be online or hanging up.
All right, well, we got like 2 minutes left. And we'll go to the WhatsApp call and see if that complements what you share. Welcome, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. How are you today?
Well, not too bad. Enjoying the program. You got some good callers, or had some good callers on there today. I'm becoming a regular now. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing. I think others agree with us, and the more that we talk, the more that we're willing to recognize that we have a lot in common and a lot to say, and hopefully we find some meaningful solutions.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue along on the same theme where we're talking about the conspiracy against the Caymanian people. It's not conspiracy theory, or it's a conspiracy theory that is actually true. So it's a conspiracy, be it inadvertently and deliberate. In some cases, there is a conspiracy because the stigma been planted for so long. We're talking about 20, 30 years ago, that it become normalized now for this conspiracy to continue against the Caymanian people. Even our governments, some of them know what's going on here. You hear the pile of knowledge that comes to your this venue on a daily basis through the week. People giving good suggestions. The government not paying no bother no mind. They're not in control. First of all, they gotta get back in control, because the aristocrats or the capitalists, however you want to look at it, the 2%, the 3%, they're in control, and they're controlling the government.
Yeah.
I'm glad what the lady answered the gentleman about nobody's perfect. We know nobody's perfect, but don't come in lying and don't do anything. Right now, the Caymanian people feel like, well, nothing is done. They ain't done. Most of us, anyhow, like nothing is being done.
Mm-hmm.
All through the years, you come back and look at the same thing. The situation keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Look at the permit situation. I mean, I don't want to go on. I don't want to keep it too long, but I just want to say you had some good calls today.
Yes.
And it's by the lack of knowledge is why the people suffer, and it's no lack of knowledge going on. It's just lack of willpower. Is it gonna keep us with part ways, and that willpower gotta come from the government.
Yeah. It's
they got be the forerunners in this thing. The people is behind them, but the people could only do so much. The people exercise their right. They vote them to put them there because they want to see change. But now they're in there, and it come in like they don't know who they got please. You know, they're being turned around. They're being turned around by the capitalists, the people that is in power. That what's the word I'm looking for? That exploit the Caymanian people, and they can't say a word. The politicians themselves are unable, are powerless against these people. So that's the main problem, and they keep giving them power here and there. Some of these problems what we got going on this island could stop with a snap of a finger, you know. And not only for me, like what a gentleman was saying, because everybody got different suggestion, and everybody you're not gonna please everybody. But the thing is, you got to come to a mutual ground that we part everybody is where right is given and wrong is abolished.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's the problem here. That isn't being done. They're only catering to one side of the society and forgetting all the rest. So I just want to tell the young man too that was on before this one that is on there now. There is a conspiracy that not all in our head or anybody that listening. There is actually a conspiracy. You see how the people look at the Caymanian when they hear you talking, when they see you go somewhere, they look at you different. There is a conspiracy, and the people, they mightn't really know well that there's a conspiracy, that they're part of the conspiracy against you. This is going on like the days of slavery and segregation and stuff. You were actually being looked at just because you were black. You were bad. Even some of the white people were good, but they would look at the black people and the brown people and say, well, boy, it's something wrong here. Something wrong. You know? So it's just that. It's just the stigmas out there, and to remove that stigma, it gonna take work. It's not gonna happen overnight.
Yeah, man. Thank you not just for what you share. Thank you for being cognizant and respectful of our time, and perhaps at some point we may have the talk show go to 7 p.m. But maybe it's much to talk about. Maybe it's time to do something. Thank you, sir. And to the other gentleman who said he would just stay on and listen, hope he was able to hear. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts. A few things in closing. As a lot of people evidence, a lot of good people are talking. It's not only because we are genuinely trying to provide that safe forum for you to have a voice, to facilitate your thoughts, to make you feel not just safe and nurtured and secure, but encouraged. We also recognize that much of what is being said increasingly publicly, there's much more that has been shared with me privately, because many people still feel that they're going to be stigmatized, ostracized, maligned, somehow treated in a way that they're going to be a disadvantage, and worse, that their businesses, their children, somehow there's going to be a negative consequence because they said something, sometimes about someone, but many times in the heat of the moment, not meaning to be motive. You get riled up sometimes. Some people, you just had enough, and you got this thing stuck in your craw. The little sayings that we have. As I'll share sometimes, it isn't that we're trying out but making strife. We're not, itching for a fight. We just had enough, and we come to that place where something has to give. So let's find a way to make that sensible and civil. It's not just about beating up our politicians. It's not just about waiting for an election to vote them in office or vote them out. It's about working together and participating. One of our listeners talked about, the need for the constitutional councils being formed and how that's going to happen. One talks about, what about the PR grants for only $500,000? Just because you can invest in $500,000. Somebody joked the other day and said they went to pay their CUC bill and stopped at the supermarket and they spent $500,000. They're just being, facetious to an extent. But, the question is, are we too small to tie status to property investments? So it's as big as Canada is. They're not even selling, to expats now. I say that to share that let's find a way to make this the place that we want to live. Not just to exact and extract as much as we can, because we may choose to retire comfortably here, there, and anywhere else. But what are we doing together? And if we're not investing in our own, if we're not giving the young school leaver the promise, the expectation that not only will they be employed and educated with a true scholarship or some other level of instruction, what's going to happen to them? When are we willing to castigate people for having an opinion, incarcerate them for running afoul of law? No, not saying to reward bad behavior, not saying that we should accept, the way we drive on the roads or the way we carry and conduct ourselves in certain ways. Criminal behavior shouldn't be tolerated. But it's the cultural ethos, the societal willingness to be willfully blind to some of the things that are transpiring. If I say it correctly, we say that, knowledge is for the head, but wisdom is for the heart. The idea that knowledge can teach you, but wisdom can transform you. And at the end of the day, what is it we're doing? Because you ever stuck your head in the sand and think the world is good? Well, you don't need to imagine what will happen to you. Listen, up and know who's frightened. And there are some people in some positions that, honest to goodness, you have to question how they get there and why they're allowed to remain. And we're not just talking about politicians or highly placed civil servants or those in the private sector or appointed to boards or, There's a particular individual in this country that increasingly, from just the politicians alone who have made passing comments about this person, I thought, well, what is it that you want me to do about that person? You're the person in position. Whether they have status, whether they've been given business licenses. If this is such a horrible person, what are you doing about the person? Well, good question. Eh? And more importantly, what are we doing to improve ourselves and to help each other? Please join us tomorrow for more Talk Today. As many of us have been increasingly trying to ask of all of us, if you are on the roads, whether it's raining or not, please drive sensibly and safely. Try to be as considerate, careful and cautious of all road users. Ensure that we do our best to arrive safely. Try not to be distracted, not just about not using your cell phones and not just about ensuring that you're wearing your seatbelts. It's about being very, very careful and sensible. Much to talk about, much to do. Let's work together to make it better for each of us, including you. Until tomorrow, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
is where tradition never dies. This is your radio, K-Man.
After all that talk, sit back, relax. Easy listening on the way.